everybody doing?
Good. How are you, Coach?
Good. No good. Okay. Anybody got any questions?
Coach, this is one of those unique situations where you open the season with 2 road games. Steve hasn't had it. It's first time since like 86, 87. You've done this before. I know Friday you opened at Elon. You've done it, the stadium, the arena at Asheville, and then College Charleston. Do you, in your role, do you feel a responsibility with some of these local schools to help out and promote the game in that way?
I think that's patting me on the back a little bit too much, but I'm not against it if they think I can help them. It really is. I mean, but you go back in there in every situation too. It's a coach that I really genuinely really like. Bobby Cremens asked us about coming down to Charleston. I genuinely really like Bobby. He's a golfing buddy. He's a guy that I've always really enjoyed. Asheville is my hometown. After we played in the aircraft carrier game, it was to do their new gym. Elon is close. Mr. Curry Burlington was great to me all the time. Said if you ever get a chance that you could help out Elon, that'd be great. And didn't have any idea about them opening up a new gym, but a couple of years later, that came as an opportunity. Michael Young at Wofford. I was a high school coach, and he was a camper in Coach Smith's camp in my gym. And then the next year, when I became an assistant here, he was in my gym again, and I've known him for a long time. Excuse me. Eddie Fogler is really very respectful of Michael, and he called me and said, "Would you ever consider it?" And I said, "Yeah." And when we talked about it, we talked about even doing it during the year they opened up their building, but it just didn't work out with our schedule because we were doing the. I think the reasons because we were doing the Nike event early in the year last year. I think their gym opened up last year, but we talked a little bit about that and talked just about going to play them at their building. Every year since about my 5th or 6th year at Kansas, I've always played the exhibition games against teams in our state to try to help give them money. And if we're going to play someone that's a non-Division I school, I think every year I was there. Probably the last 8 or 10 years, we played one of the non-Division I teams in Kansas. So it's generally somebody that I really like and know, and it would be helpful for their program. Or opening up a new building or something special. And in this case, when Michael and I first started talking about, I think we talked about both situations, but it just didn't work out at that time. But I remember Gary Waters calling me, or not calling me, but sending me a letter, said that they couldn't get anybody to come to Princeton and play a true home-and-home with Princeton. And said he didn't think that's what college athletics was supposed to be about. And I called him back, and he said, "Yeah, Roy, I just want you to think about this." And I said, "Yeah, we'll play." And he started going on. He said, "No," he says, "we just can't get it." He said, "Did you say you'd play?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We'll come and play." And so we played Princeton home and home. And, you know, I'm not trying to act like any goody two-shoes, but I think that there is a place for those kind of things in college athletics. And I think it's, you know, we take guys to their hometown because I think that's a good reason, or home area, not necessarily the hometown. But I think that's a good reason to do it. I also think playing some people, and we got one more in the works that'll be a couple of years down the road here in the state also.
How's your team going as far as health? Do you expect everybody to be able to play?
Yes, I think so. You always have aches and pains at this time of year, and you get tired and running and twisting your ankle and getting hit in the knee or getting hit in the thigh or whatever. But knock on wood, right now I expect everybody to play tomorrow night.
What's the biggest thing from last year's early defeat did you learn that you're taking in addition?
Well, it wasn't really early. It was we were 11th game or 12th game. It won't be 10-1, something like that. When we played, they just beat us. They played better than we did in every phase of the game. We had way too many turnovers, shot the ball poorly. Those were the two biggest things I remember. If you look at the stat sheet, it tells you the same kind of thing. I think there's no question that McGee is just an unbelievable shooter, and he scored 27, but Cameron Jackson's one I felt like that dominated all of our big guys. He had 6 block shots, double figures points, double figures rebounds, but we might have been fat and happy too.
I meant, I'm sorry, that's my fault.
Okay.
I meant from last year's early defeat in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, okay, I apologize. Well, I keep telling them I remember that. I do remember that we didn't finish the season the way we wanted to, but kids nowadays, they can't remember who they played last week. And but I didn't like the way we finished our season, and I've reminded them of that several times. Some of the mistakes and problems that we had last year, I don't want to have the same kind of mistakes and problems again. But you know, not most, but a lot of people have a hard time once you get in the NCAA tournaments, getting 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins, and I don't like it, but it's what it was. Texas A&M played better than we did that day as well, just like I thought you were talking about Wofford, just like they played better than we did too.
Where do you plan to start the point guard tomorrow?
Probably Kobe, but I don't plan. They tell me who wants to start by who plays the best. It's not any elaborate plan. If you play better than he does, you're going to play. If he plays better than you do, you're going to sit down. So it's a pretty simple thing. I don't put, again, guys, Marvin Williams never started a game, and he's done all right. So I really don't get too tied up in that.
When you looked at the exhibition game on film, what did you, as far as the point guard situation, what did you see from those guys?
Both of them had too many turnovers. You can't have 8 turnovers out of your point guard spot. Seventh had 4 in 16 minutes, and Kobe had 4 in 21 minutes, and Kobe had 6 assists. Seventh had 2. So that's what I didn't like, is we turned the ball. They both did a nice job of attacking the basket and getting close to the rim. But it's a different breed of animal that we're going to play tomorrow night.
With that kind of hostile environment that you would expect there, do you prep your freshmen in any ways? Because your other players obviously played in very hostile environments. But Kobe, Nasir, I think you have.
No, I'll tell everybody, but I don't necessarily pull the 3 freshmen aside, because you know they've experienced a lot of things too, but nothing like what you have when you go in college basketball playing on the road. It is same terminology. I don't know what it means myself even, but I say it. It's a different kind of animal. So we'll talk to them about just focusing on our bench and focus on what's going on the court. Maybe the freshmen are naive enough to believe me when I say pretend they're cheering for you. You know, I'll try that one too and see if it works. But you know, the building is. I just was trying to look in here and see. I think it's 3,900 or something like that. I don't see it, but it'll be full. We'll have a few Carolina people there, but needless to say, it'll be a hostile environment, but it'll be a great college atmosphere. I mean, when we played at Charleston, it was fantastic. And I mean, we lose in overtime, but it was still a fantastic experience for our guys. And I don't get, you know, if we get beat, we'll get beat. If we win, we'll win. It's not going to be the building that does it to us. But we've lost the first game to start the season before and done okay.
5 weeks of practice and the secret scrimmage and the exhibition tonight. Have you gotten done what you need to get done during this time to be ready to at least play games? You know, I'd like to think so, but you know, I was awake at 3:45 this morning trying to think what else I needed to do. So I'll have those kind of thoughts when we're out there shooting layups too. But it's just such a long preseason. I try not to hammer them too much, and yet I know that I do. But we don't have any tape from this year on Wofford. You know, they could come out and play something defensively that we didn't have any idea they were going to play, and so we'll have to see how we adjust to those kind of things too.
Does McGee look like an NBA player? Does he have that kind of talent? I know he's preseason conference, you know.
Yeah. When the ball's on his fingertips, he looks as good as anybody in the world. And it is, I've said it this way many times, it's a scoreboard they hang from the ceiling or on the wall. It's not a dive on the floor or a take charge, or it's a scoreboard. And when the ball leaves his fingertips, in some difficult shots. I mean, he makes difficult shots, and I think that is one way to separate those guys that play in the NBA. Is a lot of those guys can make difficult shots. They can make shots when you're guarded. that's our responsibility, is make sure we guard him too. But he was 4 for 12 against us last year from three-point line. But he shot 43% or something like that from three-point line. He shot 90% from the free throw line. He made more threes than anybody in the country. So we know we got to guard him. But I'll again go back and say we can't ignore Jackson either.
Have the players that played in last year's game, have they been using that as any motivation in the practices leading up to this season over against Pre-Wofford?
You know, as you get closer, you start telling about, you know, I used the terminology again the other day, guys, that's who we played last night against Mount Olive is not who you're going to play on Tuesday night, so you better get ready. And it's going to be a different environment, so you better get ready. But, you know, the guys returning, it was Cam's first game. I think he was 1 for 5 or 1 for 8 or something like that. Theo had 4 assists, 5 turnovers at one point, I think. Luke was 4 of 17 or something. So those guys that are still here that played, they remember that, I mean, that got us 14 on 2 different occasions. Second half, you look at the score and it was 3 points or something like that. Was it 78, 75 or 4 points, 70? And, you know, but it wasn't really that close. And so they remember that. They better. Anybody else?
Yeah. Luke had, of course, well documented, had that big jump sophomore to junior. How good can he be this year? How much can he improve?
Well, it's like a guy who jumps from 60 to 97 on the test. It's hard to improve on 97. If a guy goes from 60 to 70, he's still got a lot he can do. Well, Luke got it almost to 97, so it's hard to have that same kind of improvement, that same drastic improvement. But I think Luke is better. I think he needs to be better, wants to be better, can be better. Got to get fouled more and go to the free throw line and make the free throws. Needs to shoot a higher percentage from 2. Needs to rebound it even better than he did last year. And so I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. But again, if you make 97 on the test, there's not a lot of improvement. And this year, like he had last year, particularly his first 2/3 of the season, is that he got 97, 98, 99 almost every night during that part of it.
Well, you mentioned it's been a long preseason. Are you at the point with this team where you need to get them in live game action?
They need it. I don't need it because I can stay practice all the time. But they need to play somebody else. They really do.
You went with Garrison Brooks to start the exhibition game. What did you like from him in the preseason? He did really well.
He has said the other day, one of the things that he makes fewer mistakes than everybody else, that players can depend on him defensively to be in the right spot, to box out, to go get the ball. You know, he had 16 points, 16 rebounds in less than 22 minutes, because 22 is the most anybody played. He was probably less than 20. So he was productive in the game. Tomorrow's a tough matchup because they have 4 guys who can really shoot the 3-point shot, and one of our big guys is going to have to be chasing them around if we go big. If we don't go big, you know, it's probably easier to chase them, but also takes away one of our strengths too. So we'll have to decide how often we're going to do that. But Garrison, you know, it's the old saying, if you don't hurt us, you help us. And that's what sometimes is the guys that get one spot, if they don't hurt you as much as somebody else hurts you while you're in there, then that's a huge positive also.
Kenny said the other day that his number one responsibility is to set a standard for the other guys, not just really with statistics, but focus, effort, approach, and being at that level every day. Have you seen a little bit of a different Kenny this year? Now he's a senior and he feels that responsibility.
I think he does feel that responsibility. I think he's been a great leader. He's been a leader verbally, very vocal with the guys. But if they just watch him, you know, that's where he's the best leader. He is doing it by example, and I think he enjoys that role. And it's everybody else has got to get up to his level of competition, his level of enthusiasm. If they do, then they're going to be a lot better themselves.
When you look at Nazir's shot, what are some of the things you like with it, and what are some of the areas you want to maybe improve with him, or with Hubert, who's working with him?
All right, I'm going to interrupt one thing. It's not Nasir, and it's not Nazir. Okay, it's Nasir. If it's short, it's Naz.
Which I do not call
If it's
him.
long, it's Nasir.
My bad.
No. It's I've heard about 8 different ways. Please continue.
Yeah, Nasir has a good shot. I think everybody's shot can improve during the course of the season. He's spending extra time with Coach Davis. I think he's going to get better, more consistent. there's nothing wrong with his shot anyway. He shot it well in high school. And I think that when you're that athletic and can jump that high and take the ball basket and embarrass folks, they're going to back off of you a little bit. So then you need to make that shot so they come get you, so you have an opportunity to drive it to the basket. So he knows it's an emphasis from us to him, but he realizes that. And he's spending a good bit of extra time working on his shot. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. He just got to make more. Ball's got to go in the basket.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
All right, Luke will be right in.
One other thing quickly too is that I was extremely happy with our student body, the amount of people that came into their exhibition game. Raining like crazy and homecoming and all that stuff. But, I would like to have more people out there, there's no question, but I thought our student body was fantastic. I meant to say that after the game.
Thank you, Coach.
You're right in, Luke.